Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue hacking away at the STI here. I'm hoping to get the intake manifold off today if possible, but we're going to see essentially how much we can accomplish. So for today, I'm hoping to first go ahead and remove these fuel lines, and then there's a couple of coolant lines here on the throttle body that I want to get off, and then we're going to go ahead and try and disassemble the AC unit, or essentially disconnect the AC unit from the block, and then the same with this power steering unit, and just kind of get those out of the way. And the goal is to kind of just remove the entire intake manifold with the TGV housings kind of all in one big piece. So we're going to do those steps, and then we're going to kind of disconnect the wiring harness and see how much of this we can get off today. So here we go. Alright guys, so let's get started on removing these fuel lines. So these are kind of the proper tools to remove fuel lines, if you guys have ever seen these. However, I found that it's kind of a pain in the butt to get these off on this car. And the reason why is because this bracket here has essentially this large metal piece in the way, and it makes it a real pain to try and get these guys off. So we're gonna kind of give it our best go here. I realize that you can kind of twist this, which may be a benefit, but we'll see what we can do here. So I'm probably gonna end up using this, not this size, but this one, which I've split in half, and then maybe use one of these picks as well. I found that these metal ones are pretty much worthless. They don't fit in there at all around that bracket. So for those of you struggling with this, I am going to wear some glasses. What most people do is you can pull out the fuel pump fuse and start the car, and that'll essentially decompress a little bit of the fuel system. From my experience, fuel still sprays kind of all over the place, so I'm just going to give this a go without doing that because I already removed the battery. I am going to go ahead and tuck this under here as best I can, and like I said, I'm going to wear glasses. So hopefully this won't make too much of a mess, but I guess we'll find out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put these glasses on. And I think I'm going to slip this in. I know I can get at least one of these guys in. And I'm going to turn this, and these little... So if you can see these little tabs right here that I'm pointing at, the actual clip is 90 degrees from that, so right here. So I'm hoping to hit this back clip with this guy, because I'm pretty sure this guy will slide in. Okay, so that guy slid in, and then I'm just going to turn this here 90 degrees, and then I think if I push this pin into here, this will loosen this other side, hopefully. And hopefully this guy will break free. Let's see if I'm right. Now, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm just going to cover this up and pull. Nope. So I'm going to go a little bit up a little further. I can feel some resistance right here, so I'm wondering if that's the... There we go, that felt like it may have gone. So let's see. That does not seem... Oh, got it. Perfect, so that didn't really make much of a mess at all. So that came off pretty easy, actually. So I'm not sure if you can see these clips, but see how there's these little indentations here and here? So 90 degrees from that are these clips that we're depressing. Yep, okay. So that's one done. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And then hopefully we can just get this entire harness type thing out of the way. I'm gonna do the same. Yep, this guy's leaking a little bit. Like I said, I think it's unavoidable getting at least some leakage, so we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna slide this one in with an attempt to get the middle of this about 90 degrees from that little indentation. We're gonna turn it, and then we're gonna go ahead and use this to try and depress that little deal in there. And I think I might be in. It's kind of hard to tell. I'll cover this up as best we can. Nope. I should be in the right place. I don't know why I'm not getting this guy. That could be it. There we go, got it. So that second one didn't really leak or spray at all. Okay, so we got two. And then this third one doesn't require this special tool. The third one, I think may actually just be a vent. Okay, so I'm gonna set this gasoline soaked rag out of the way. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and set all these tools out of the way. And then let's go ahead and get this last one off, which is just gonna be a pair of pliers, it looks like. Hopefully this guy doesn't leak. So I'm gonna use my technique that I've mentioned before where I grab it with the pliers, not squeezing too hard, twisting back and forth as I pull, and usually that gets these guys to come off pretty well. Hopefully this guy's not gonna leak on me. Nope, no leak at all. So yeah, I think that is the vent. All right, I'm gonna take my glasses back off, set those out of the way. So we now have essentially disconnected all these fuel lines, which is great. So I like to tuck these out of the way as best I can. This is all going to come off eventually. I'm just going to tuck those over here and basically tuck all three of those out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to move on to these coolant lines that we have here on the throttle body. So these also are going to be these spring clamp style. So this top one should be pretty easy to get to. So we're gonna squeeze that. And then, like I said, I like to squeeze it and move it over just to get it over the little lip of that nipple. And then once we've got that, I like to grab it. We're gonna twist gently. There we go, that broke it loose. And then I'm gonna pull as I gently twist and kind of finagle this off of here. Perfect. Okay, now I've got this other one down here, which is going to be a little bit harder to reach. Hopefully you guys can see this one down here. So you can see right where my pliers are. This is just kind of on the bottom of this throttle body here. So That's probably good enough. Okay, I'm gonna flip the pliers around. I'm gonna grab this and wiggle a little bit to try and break that loose. That came loose pretty easy. And then kind of the same thing here. I apologize if you guys can't see this. But I'm just kind of wiggling as I pull. And that guy came off. And hopefully you can see right down here that that is now off and out of the way. Okay. So we now have those two coolant lines disconnected. Essentially, we're disconnecting everything that connects this entire unit to the engine. That way, when we remove it, we don't have anything snagging us up. I'm gonna push this coolant line kind of out of the way here. And what I'd like to do is actually label these guys. Really quick. So we're gonna throw a quick label on these guys. Some people will actually discontinue these lines, these coolant lines that run through the throttle body. I know that in one of Josh Bader's video, he talks about doing it. And I think his thought process is that essentially this is designed for really cold environments. So if you live like in Alaska or I don't know, somewhere where it's cold, where it gets really cold, then this would be beneficial as far as the car running better. But if you're in a warmer environment, I'm here in Spokane, Washington, and really all this is going to do is add to the heat soak. So especially if you're running a top mount intercooler like I am, you really don't want any extra heat in the engine bay or the intake, and having that hot coolant run through it is not going to do you any favors. I should probably underline this so that I know it's 12 and not 21. Like I said, I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to label all these, but you will be grateful when you go to put it all back together. And even if you're not necessarily going to put some of this stuff back together, or if you're going to be switching things up, if this is your first time, you may still end up having questions about what went where for the deletes that you're going to do or the upgrades that you're going to do. So it still can be beneficial to do this, even if you're not going to reuse all this stuff. There's just too many moving parts here, and until you become a expert, it's worth doing. Okay, so we got the fuel lines off, we got these coolant lines off, so now we're going to go ahead and start by unbolting this AC unit. So I think these are either 14 or 15 milliliter. So it looks like we've got one over here on the side. We've got this big guy right here. We've got this guy here. We got this guy here, and then there's another guy back down there that hopefully you guys can see. And that one looks like it might be kind of a pain to get to. So I think these are going to be 14 or 15. So let's grab both and see which one it is. This guy is hard to even get on. So that one I'm having trouble even getting on. This is a 14. This is a 14 also. So it looks like there's a couple of different ways to do this. You can either disconnect this from this bracket or just connect the entire bracket. I think I'm just going to disconnect the entire bracket because it looks a little easier to get to. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw an extension on this guy and see what we can remove. I think we're probably going to need a wobbly. We may end up needing different size extensions as well. Yep, looks like we're gonna need a longer extension. This is what I'll do sometimes, guys, to make things a little bit easier so I don't have to go back and forth 100 times. Is I'll grab one of these bins and I'll just put kind of all the parts that all the tools that I'm potentially gonna need for one little section in the bin. And that way I don't have to sit here and go back and forth 100 times, which is probably annoying for you guys to watch as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a long extension with a 14. See if we can hit this guy, which we cannot. Let's see if we can hit this guy back here. We can kind of get on it, but not well enough for my satisfaction. Let's try a wobbly on this guy back here. I'm not sure how well you can even see that, but these are ones where you want to make damn sure you are on there well and break it loose, because these are ones that are going directly into the block, and if you strip these off, you're going to hate yourself. Okay, so I think that one is off. I don't think I'm going to be able to actually pull it out, but it is loose. Okay, here's the next one. This is the one I told you about where you have the option. So I'm going to make damn sure I'm on there straight. Break it loose. And then disconnect it. So this guy is going to be a pain to get to because this plastic piece is in the way. This is really annoying. I'm going to see if I can kind of pry this plastic piece over. There we go. Okay, I'm on there straight, so now I'm going to break it loose. Wow. Okay, I'm literally breaking this piece of plastic as I go. Okay, that thing looks like it had like an enormous amount of Loctite on it or something. And I think that I broke that little plastic. That's no big deal. Okay. So let's see if these look like essentially the same bolt, even though one is much uglier than the other. So now we've got this guy right up front. So for this, we're going to need a short extension. Let's try this one. We'll try the shortest extension here. And this is the same size, so these are all 14. Okay, I'm on there. Make sure I'm on there well. Why am I not going on there very well? What is going on? Okay. And you can see that the whole AC unit just popped loose for us. So I need to get this bolt out. Let's see if this is the same length. The reason I'm checking this is because I want to make sure I get this back in the correct... I want essentially the bolts to go back in the exact same order. And if some of them are different lengths, it's going to affect things. So these are all the exact same bolts for the AC, so that's easy. So now that this is loose, we can get this belt off. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get this belt set aside with the other belt. And then as far as this AC unit goes, we can just move this guy to the side. So, perfect. So it looks like he's gonna post up right about there just fine. Okay, so we've got him posted up right here. He is out of the way. Okay, so I do not want to lose these bolts, obviously. So for these guys, I think I'm just gonna put them back. I could either put them back or I could tape them, and actually, let's put them in a bag. And we'll just set them on the AC unit. I think that'll be faster. So we're gonna go AC, and then we're just gonna set this on the AC unit right here. And actually, I'm gonna go a step further and just tape this down, because it'll only take a second. That way I don't have to worry about losing those bolts. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. Okay, so we've got the AC unit out of the way. So now we've got this power steering unit. So this guy, there is a wire here. I'm not quite sure where that's going, but it looks like it continues down underneath. But regardless, we need to get this guy out of the way. So I can see down here that there is a 12. And then we've got a 12 up here. So let's just kind of grab a 12 and we're going to whittle away at this thing and see what it takes to get it loose. How about that? So we're going to start by this guy down here. Hopefully you guys can see this guy. I'm gonna make sure we're on there straight. Broke loose pretty easy. This guy had Loctite on him, that's for sure. Okay, then we've got the one up top we're gonna use the long extension for. Right here. Okay, and I do want to check the length of these. See, these are different lengths, so this is where it's going to get confusing. So I'm going to set this one to the right, this one here, just to kind of remind myself exactly where these guys go. And this guy is still not loose, which means there's obviously at least one more bolt holding this guy on. And I'm having kind of a hard time seeing it. Let's see here. Okay, so I think I can see it down here on the bottom left. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt to get to, but I think this is it. So let's try the short extension. You guys, it's really helpful using this electric ratchet in these hard to reach places. It can be difficult to actually fit it in there sometimes, but if you can get it in there, then it is so much nicer than trying to ratchet in a tight little area. So this is gonna be hard for you guys to actually see, but it is kind of on the bottom, kind of the bottom passenger aspect of this guy. Okay, I am very close. Sometimes you actually have to just do this by feel. Let's see if I can feel where it is. Alright guys, I'm gonna cut the camera off for a minute and work on getting this guy off, okay? I'll be back here in just a few. Okay guys, so I was able to get this power steering bolt. So what I ended up doing was just removing this upper radiator hose. Sometimes that just makes things so much simpler. So I'm going to kind of show you where this is at. But first want to mention there is this wire that I did not disconnect here from the power steering pump. So this one's easy. You just depress here and pull. And that's kind of a part of the wiring harness that's going to come up with the intake manifold. So essentially there's 3 bolts on this guy. There's this one back here. There's this one on the bottom drivers, and then this is the hard one, or the one that was difficult to get to, the one on the lower passenger side. This one was really easy to get to once I went ahead and removed that coolant line. But I just wanted to make a note that there's, out of the 3 bolts here, the back one and then this one here on the left are shorter, and then this is the longer one. So what I'm trying to get at here is it's pretty obvious where they go. So I don't think that I need to really pay attention to their orientation. So really I'm just gonna throw all 3 of those in a bag.